Hey YouTube, this is episode 1 of the Dave and Brian Show. Now before you get all meh and click away, just want to let you know this is like a sort of a test episode, a pilot episode if it was television. We're just kind of figuring out if this is going to work and trying different ideas.
Yeah.
So if it gets a decent amount of views, shares, things like that, we'll do more. And over time, this is going to get more complicated. Our audio is going to get better. The scenery is going to get better. We'll have more cameras, things like that. More like Raw Talk or the Halloween Horror Nights videos from last year. But right now, if we get 5 views or 7 views, and like So
if you do watch, leave comments, say what you liked.
Nice ones.
Yeah. What you liked. Be polite about what you didn't like. Tell us how we can improve.
Right now, the Dave and Brian Show is just it's descriptive, but it's not like I don't want to leave it into one thing. To maybe more free flowing. So whatever we happen to want to talk about that episode, we talk about it. So that's why the Dave and Brian Show could be anything.
Yeah.
The only thing that's constant is Brian and Dave.
Don't you mean Dave and Brian?
No, I'm thing 1 and that's thing 2. Cover your hair and your eyes in. This one's called Oh Me. Oh, if you haven't listened to Nirvana Unplugged as I have clearly too many times, you won't get that reference. At least I think I got most of it right. But whatever. So I'm going to try to use some cards over here I think there's a way you can use a poll. So I'm going to put at least one poll in here. One of them might be like, what do you think about the name? Other suggestions, you can also use the comment section. And if you liked the different modules or whatever we're gonna do, reoccurring segments. So first one, when it gets close to the Halloween Horror Nights, we're gonna talk more about it. Right now, there's not a whole lot going on, so
there's rumors and there's speculation, but I've got my own ideas, but nothing official for a while.
So there's also a special offer, which is kind of cool, for the new Sapphire Falls, which we hope to stay there. But I kind of ignored it because we have an annual pass.
Yeah.
And we also get the Rush of Fear pass.
Yeah.
And what was the deal?
The whole deal, for us, it wasn't that great. It was a park-to-park pass, a ticket to Halloween Horror Nights. It was like $200 a night for the room, or $200 something a night, and then $150 credit for their cafeteria. So half of that is good for us.
Yeah.
Us being pass holders, a park-to-park pass we've already got that.
Yeah.
A free ticket to Halloween Horror Nights, that would be great, especially for a Saturday night.
Yeah.
But
we're gonna get the Rush of Fear, so it would
yeah.
be kind of useless. But it sounds like a great deal, especially a brand new hotel that isn't even open yet.
Yeah, so if you're not a pass holder, a park-to-park pass, that's amazing. That's like $120 right there.
Yeah.
Free Halloween Horror Night ticket, that's $70 some odd right there.
Yeah. And I know my friend just stayed at the Royal Pacific there, which was like, I think it was like $200 or $300 a night. So just for the room alone,
Yeah.
is more.
Yeah.
And that's a hotel that's been there for a little while. It's a really nice hotel. I prefer the Hard Rock because of its proximity to the park.
Yeah.
I think the theme is stronger at the Royal Pacific. And the Sapphire Falls, we'll have to find out.
Yeah.
So right now they're just doing the tweets. This guy needs to get on Twitter. He's missing all of them.
Oh yeah.
Some teasers, not really teasers, but like, hey, we're working on this and we've got this part done and we're working on that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So don't know what the theme is, but it's going to be kind of hard to follow up last year. I just hope they go with an icon like they have in the past and don't move away from that because, yeah. So.
The rumor was if you happen to see, and it is on YouTube, one of the major Halloween Horror Night guys was there for the Usher's final kill, and at the end he wrote in the blood on the window, "See you at 26." Now, some people are taking that to mean he will be the icon of 26. Huh?
2016.
Well, Halloween Horror Nights
Oh,
26.
26, okay.
Yeah. But 26 / 2016, yes.
Yeah.
Some people are taking it to mean that he is the icon. Some people are saying, well, just see you next year, you know.
Or maybe the scare actors planning on coming back.
Sure. You know, it could mean anything.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, I mean, who knows, you know.
But I know that we're definitely going to this, the not the rush it here, but the tour,
Yes, yeah.
Unmasking the Horror. So we can bring you some really cool information and photos and things like that
Yeah.
for the walkthroughs
Yeah.
that we're going to do.
And just doing that was amazing by itself.
Yeah.
You know, even if we didn't have a channel, just seeing that.
Yeah. So the idea is we're gonna. I like to make this whole show into like segments, like a goal of, we haven't figured out what time, but maybe short segments and then transition to another one, so that there could be a link on the bottom. So if we're talking about something that you don't really care about, like you know, our long discussion about crochet, you can click on it and jump to the next topic rather than
Yeah.
and closing it. So it's something we're going to work on.
And then it's something I like to when I watch movie fights by Screen Junkies. It's something I'm glad that it's there, because they have like typically 3 topics, and I'm only interested in like maybe one of them. So you know, click right there.
So that's another thing that I'm going to be experimenting with.
Mm-hmm.
So next topic is the Pool of Death. So
Which I loved that movie.
I thought it was okay.
Um,
I don't like gore and I don't like blood.
But
And
I didn't.
I wasn't expecting it.
I didn't think it was that bad. So typically, because I know that like if I see a violent movie, I'll warn you, which is I warned you about Red State. I don't know if you ever saw Red State.
No.
No, that I knew would be too much.
And usually, the funny thing is when Kevin Smith when people talk about blood and like medical procedures and stuff on his podcast, he gets all queasy. I'm like, so I would think that his movies would be not gory or bloody in any way, but I guess you're saying that it kind of is.
It gets there. It really does. I didn't think Deadpool was that bad, but well, it was also the context of the violence, and just, you know, even though it's a Kevin Smith movie and we're both big Kevin Smith fans, you know, I figured it might be too much.
Yeah. That's why I didn't see Tusk, because I thought that might get kind of graphic as well.
I haven't seen Tusk yet. I still want to.
We almost did. When
Yeah.
we were in Orlando.
Yeah.
But,
That was the week. It was Halloween weekend, right? It
yeah,
came
I
out.
think so.
And we went to Halloween Horror Nights for Halloween, and we're there Saturday, and the movie lasted literally 1 week in the theaters. We were like, okay, next week we're gonna see it.
Which is what happened to me with
Mallrats,
Mallrats.
yeah.
Because I was like, I'm definitely seeing that next week, and then I think
Yeah,
that's a little bit longer than a week, but not much.
yeah.
So I liked when Colossus was fighting that chick. What happened to that chick? She kind of just like disappeared. They were fighting. Neither one was really doing any damage. They're just throwing each other around and like
Yeah.
destroying everything around them. And then
I guess she saw that her boss was beaten and just decided to haul ass, you know?
yeah, but I just love when her one of the straps gets loose and a little bit of nipple shows and like this fight just completely stops. It's like, oh, I cannot. You're a beautiful woman. And she's like, aw. And I'm thinking like, well, if she was ugly, would he not care?
It's just that's how polite and just altruistic he is. He's like, you know, like respect to women and
Yeah.
fair fighting and be honorable and
It's just funny they threw in, you're a beautiful woman, like, okay. Respect to women has nothing to do with beauty, but,
yeah.
all right. It's hi Stella. So, I thought that was kind of funny, and then she punches him right in the crotch. Punches him right in the crotch immediately afterwards.
Yeah. And by the way, spoilers for Deadpool.
Besides that one.
The movie has been out a while, so I think a lot of people have seen it by now, and it's still in the theaters.
Yeah.
So, but if you haven't yet, I do recommend you go see it. Look, there's plenty of cursing. There's plenty
Which I
of
was fine with.
blood and nudity and violence. So just be prepared. But yeah.
But it's got a sort of I would say Spider-Man-esque sense of humor and sarcasm.
Yeah.
And even references friendly neighborhood something or other.
Yeah.
But I never saw the test footage that people were talking about. I kind of want to see it now.
I believe it's basically the scene when he hops into the sunroof of the SUV and they start fighting. I think that's what he's talking about, because every time I've seen that mentioned, that's what ends up on screen, like a raw version of that. But I mean, yeah.
But apparently, at the very end, he says hi to someone who's like the head of Fox. That was the last thing. He turns to the camera and says, "Hi," whatever his name is, I forget now. Because they leaked it to get support so that the movie would be made. Is what I thought.
Right.
So he speaks directly to the head of Fox Studios.
And then it got leaked onto the internet, and then the internet just went from there. And Ryan Reynolds says that the fans overwhelmed the studio with, yes, we need to do this.
Were they not happy with Green Lantern fans? I never saw it.
I never did either. I've seen a few scenes here and there, and it doesn't seem that bad. But I mean, I don't know. I know it didn't do very well.
Then again, I'm the person who liked Spider-Man 3 and didn't see what people had a problem with as far as Fantastic Four. So, dodge that. A shoe thrown at me. I don't know. I mean, I didn't think the Fantastic Four movie was that bad, but I also have never read a comic book. The thing that was lame is when they're standing around like, oh, what should we call each other? And they look like, this is really nice. I'd say fantastic. What was that? Fantastic. There you go. The fantastic. Like, okay, that was weak.
Yeah. I never saw the movie. I did see the Everything Wrong With, so.
Yeah. I was like, I hope they point that out because that was pretty lame, and they did.
I've seen several reviews of the newest Fantastic Four movie, and I think the main complaint is it's got a weak story. It's yet another reboot. When there was a Fantastic Four only a few years ago, and Doctor Doom's story is pretty weak. I think those are the major complaints. It's just a bad script. Maybe a director who didn't quite know the source material or what to do. I don't know.
I think it was great, but people thought it was like the worst movie ever.
Yeah.
Now, I think that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is horrible. Horrible, boring, terrible.
The one with Electro?
Yeah, that was bad.
I never saw that.
Y'all don't.
Yeah. I agree that Paul Giamatti was wasted in the movie.
Yeah, to me, it's like people complain about Spider-Man 3, and then I saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm like, isn't like half this movie the stuff that people complained about in Spider-Man 3? Like, why isn't that why they restarted the franchise? So.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know. I'm not that big of a Spider-Man fan. I saw the original Sam Raimi one. I saw Spider-Man 2, and then Amazing Spider-Man came in. I was like, yeah, I'll skip it.
Yeah, it was okay, but the second one was just so terrible.
Yeah. But I did like Deadpool. I saw Deadpool opening night. I had a great time watching it. I thought it was a great movie. You know, the blood and the gore doesn't bother me. So, you know, for me, I had a great time. And I thought the humor was amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty good thoughts. I don't understand why he was counting bullets in the beginning.
Because he only had so many rounds. It was a recurrent theme that, like, he had all these bad guys to deal with, and he had limited ammo, so he's like, all right, well, I got to make this work. And
But what I don't understand is, like, there were bad guys all over with, like, guns full of ammo. Why couldn't he just grab one of them? Like, why? What was so special about his bullets, where he couldn't, you know, take out one guy and grab his weapon and use that?
Well, he wanted to set a goal. I've got 6 bullets. I got to make them count.
Yeah, and the other thing is, why did teenage Negasonic Teenage Warhead, right? Or did I miss one?
Yes, no, that's right.
Why did she wait so long to say, "Hey, where's your duffel bag"? It's like.
And that poor cab driver.
Yeah, then he gets rear-ended with the dude in the back.
Yeah.
I thought that I didn't know what was up with. I didn't like the whole idea of, hey, why don't you kidnap your girlfriend's new love interest and kill the shit out of him? Like, that seems like bad advice.
But he was doing it to win her love.
No.
Now, Negasonic Teenage Warhead is the name of a song by Monster Magnet.
Oh. Apparently, it was also an actual pre-existing Marvel character.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know if they named her after the Monster Magnet song. It's possible.
But the other thing is, they said that her powers were different in the comics. They changed it for the movie, but that's about it.
Oh.
Do you think it's really true that that they couldn't afford more X-Men, or is it just a joke?
It's probably true.
Thanks for chewing on that bone cell. It's really nice and loud.
I would think it's more to the effect that
I mean, Marvel owns all the characters. They wouldn't have to pay to license them, right? Or is it to animate them?
well, the thing is, in the 90s, both DC and Marvel got into financial trouble, and in order to stay afloat, they sold the rights to many of their characters to movie studios. The reason you see a whole lot of comic book movies every few years is because if they're not made within a certain time limit, the studio loses those rights. So, Batman, Superman are Warner Brothers.
Even though they're sort of DC. Or were they're not, I think aren't they DC?
They are DC. That's correct. Both DC and Marvel had to do this. It's kind of a thing where they own the rights, but the studio has paid for the right to use the names and likenesses in movies. If you want to know the whole detailed thing, I'm sure you can look it up and get like every single little bit of information. All I know is that Warner Brothers owns the rights to Batman, Superman, probably a few others. Sony Pictures owns the rights to Spider-Man. Fox owns a lot of the well-known X-Men, Wolverine, Professor Xavier, Cyclops, etc. The main X-Men. Now, even though Deadpool is Marvel Studios working with Fox, I don't know if it was actually like a thing where, okay, we can't let you use the main X-Men, but you can use these guys. I don't know like the actual ins and outs of behind the scenes. It might have been a joke, it might have been real, it might have been both,
Right. So our next segment is something that I have 3 books here, so we can do this often if it's successful.
One is called I Didn't Know That, and it's different little factoids Mainly typical phrases that you hear, like one fell swoop, off the cuff, off color, for example, and it talks about the origins of these phrases. The General Book of Ignorance. Everything you think you know is wrong.
Oh,
And
we're going to do one from this book today.
amazing, but false. Hundreds of facts you thought were true but aren't.
So I thought that would be kind of interesting to throw that in every episode, every week, or whatever, like whatever we end up doing. I'm not going to necessarily bring the books out every time, but again, let us know if this is something of interest. And if you are interested in the books, I'm going to put links in the description to go to Amazon and to buy them, and it helps us if you use those links.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about
We're going to talk about Woodstock.
the music festival.
Yeah, the first music festival way back in the 60s. The common misconception is that it happened in Woodstock, New York, which is not true.
Which would make sense because of the name.
Right.
But then again, people think that Disney World is in Orlando, and that's not true either.
Mm. It's very, very close to Orlando, but it's not.
It's actually Lake Buena Vista.
Yeah.
So, where was this music festival actually held?
It was called Bethel, New York.
And that was close to Woodstock, New York, but not quite.
Yeah, 40 miles out. It was supposed to be Woodstock, New York. That is, the reason for it is Bob Dylan played Woodstock, the band played Woodstock, and both Bob Dylan and members of the band had homes in Woodstock, New York. I believe the production company was called Woodstock Productions, and that they wanted to do it in Woodstock, New York, and they couldn't do it. It didn't happen. They tried several other towns.
Did they not have the permits because they didn't dot the I's and lowercase j's?
Something like that.
Actually, no. It wasn't I's because he was avoiding the word I. Wayne's World too.
Yeah.
I forget what it was. The guy had a weird eye, so he was trying to avoid saying the word I. Anyway,
yeah.
So that's when they were putting together Wayne stock.
Yeah. But they tried several different towns, and they finally ended up with a man who owned a farm in Bethel, New York, and he agreed to do it. Now, when it came time, and he actually found out how huge this was going to be, he tried backing out of it. And they had to, do some last minute negotiations, but it went through, and everything was fine, and it became this legendary thing.
Which is pretty amazing that it became that big, being that this is decades before the internet.
Yeah. But you had a lot of big names playing in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan, Jimi Hendrix, the band, and a lot of other, I can't even think of like the whole list.
Actually, I do remember it was make sure when you apply for permits to cross all your T's and dot your lowercase j's.
Yeah. But that's the kind of thing that's in this book. It's common misconceptions, like Woodstock was in Woodstock, New York, and it wasn't. It was 40 miles away. Another thing that I was looking at that I might have talked about tonight was Seinfeld coined the phrase yada yada yada, and that's not true. It made it popular, we'll say that, but it didn't invent the phrase. Another one is Dracula is a purely fictional character. That's not true. Or that, what was the other one? The QWERTY keyboard is set up for the most efficient typing possible. That's not true.
Which is actually opposite.
Yeah. It was actually, goes back to typewriters, and it was set up in a way that you cannot type fast enough to jam the hammer keys.
Because there are some typewriters that have like a ball that moved around. I think those might be a little more modern ones. But the old ones, going back to the original ones, each key was on an arm, and it would actually fly towards and hit the page to print each letter, and they would come at different angles, and if too many of them got together, they would jam, and then you would have to unjam it before you can continue writing. So they actually slow down the typing process.
Yeah.
What should have happened, and a few people have tried, is when we moved away from keyboards, typewriters, to word processors, then computers. It wasn't straight to computers.
Yeah.
We made this transition away from mechanical keyboards. We should have switched to more logical, but we didn't. So.
Yeah. Well, maybe at the time the word processors couldn't handle that kind of speed either. Maybe that's what it was.
I don't know. But we'll be looking up more things like that and finding them, and I find that interesting. Hopefully you do too. But let us know. That's the we're at 26:19, so we better finish the show.
We got a few minutes.
So that's the end of the very first Dave and Brian show. If I put any audio, it'll be from audioblocks.com. And hopefully you like this. Please share it. Please tweet it. Hashtag Get Brian on Twitter. And again, the more views it gets, the better it will be. If you want a better example, look at anything from Halloween Horror Nights 25 except the walkthroughs. And you'll see the very elaborate, very expensive multi-camera setup that we did that got very few views. So,
well, we tried. We thought
costumes and everything.
Yeah, we thought that it's gonna Halloween Horror Nights 25. We may as well go a little bit big, and
I thought people would appreciate the massive upgrade in camera setup and production value, because I had to focus my own camera, so I was a little bit out of focus because he stood in and he didn't stand in exactly where I was. His shot was very sharp. I thought the shots looked great. I actually rented a camera to do that shot. The middle shot looked like crap because it was a GoPro. But so we'll get better microphones, things like that. But that all depends on you guys. If we get very little views, very little motivation. But hopefully you like this. Other segments, suggestions, things like that, you can put them in the description. We'll talk more about Halloween Horror Nights, movies, maybe some music, things like that. So like it, share it, and click into that. Thanks.
See you next time.